The Crystal Hall of the Galactic Council stood in the center of the star city known as Exiled. It was a place where representatives from hundreds of worlds gathered to discuss peaceful matters and share knowledge. Built from glowing silver stone and tall, transparent towers, the hall looked like a shining lantern floating among the stars. Every corner of the structure reflected soft colors that shifted gently with the movement of the nearby nebula. Many travelers visited the city just to admire its calm beauty. On this day, the calm beauty of the hall did not match the tension inside it. Representatives from many species sat around a round table made of polished crystal. Their soft lights flickered with worry. Their colors changed as they whispered to one another in quiet voices. Every seat was filled except for one. That empty seat belonged to the human captain named Marakel, who had not yet arrived. The council had called this special meeting for one reason. In every joint simulation or friendly strategic challenge, humans always won. The simulations were designed to help different species learn from one another. They were meant to build trust and understanding. But instead of balance, the humans kept reaching the top position. They won by large gaps even when they had smaller teams or simpler tools. Many representatives admired this talent. They respected the human ability to think quickly and adapt with ease. But others felt confused. They wondered how humans could take the same rules and create something so unexpected. A few felt embarrassed because their teams failed again and again. Nobody disliked the humans as individuals. The council itself valued Earth as an important member. But the situation needed attention because it affected the confidence of many species who had joined the strategic programs with high hopes. At last the large doors of the hall opened. Captain Marakel entered with a calm expression. Her uniform was simple and light blue. Her brown hair was tied neatly behind her head. She carried no tools or devices. She only carried a small tablet with notes from her last simulation. Mara walked with a steady pace through the long central path. Her boots made soft echoes across the bright floor. The council chair looked at her and gave a polite nod. The chair belonged to the Lat-Hen species. They were tall beings with smooth glass-like skin. Their body glowed with gentle shades of green and gold. The chair raised one hand to welcome Mara. Captain Mara took her seat, still unsure why she had been called. She looked around the hall and felt the unusual tension. She placed her tablet on the table and rested her hands on her lap. The chair leaned forward and spoke in a calm and friendly tone. Captain Marakel, thank you for joining us. We have called this meeting to discuss a matter related to the strategic programs. You and your fellow humans have shown remarkable performance in every simulation. So remarkable that it has created a challenge for the balance of the programs. Mara blinked in surprise. She expected feedback or maybe a request for improvement, but not this. She listened silently as the chair continued. In the last 40 strategic sessions, the human teams have won each one. Even when placed in unfamiliar conditions, even when given fewer resources, even when other teams had more support, humans still reach the winning goal before anyone else. We admire this skill. Yet it has begun to affect the morale of other participants. Some species feel that the training is no longer fair. Others cannot understand the thinking style of humans. This has led to discomfort. Mara nodded slowly. She knew humans were flexible thinkers. She had seen her teammates come up with ideas at strange moments. She had seen them create a plan from an empty table or turn a simple mistake into a useful solution. It was normal for her, but she understood how unusual it must appear to others. One representative from the gentle fire rose species raised a hand. The fire rose were soft-feathered beings with large, bright eyes. Their voices sounded like flowing water. We do not mean to blame humans, the fire rose representative said. We admire their imagination, but we cannot learn from a simulation if one group always reaches a goal first. Many of our students return home feeling confused. They think they lack ability. Some stop participating. This is why we must understand the human strategy better. Another representative from the Tovan species spoke next. The Tovan were small green beings with round faces and short limbs. They were known for honest and simple speech. Humans do not follow the same patterns as others, the Tovan representative said. When we expect them to take a safe path, they choose a new one. When we predict their next move, they change direction. We do not understand how they do this. Mara waited quietly until the council chair invited her to speak. She stood up slowly and placed both hands on the table. With respect, Mara said, "I am honored by your words, but I must clarify one thing. We humans do not try to confuse other teams. We only try to solve the challenge with the tools we have. If our methods seem different, it is not because we want to stand above others. It is because we have grown up seeing the world in shifting ways. We imagine many possible answers at the same time. Sometimes those answers seem strange, but they help us reach the goal." The council listened closely. Her tone was not proud or defensive. It was sincere and calm. A representative from the airy Lumian species floated slightly above their seat as they spoke. The Lumian had bodies made of soft light and gentle mist. "Captain Mara," they said, "your explanation helps. But we still need to find a way to support the other species who feel overwhelmed. They must also feel confident and valued in the strategic programs." The chair folded their glowing hands. "For this reason," the chair said, "the Council is considering a temporary pause on human participation in the strategic simulations. This is not a punishment. It is a step to give us time to study human thinking patterns. We wish to understand your creative approach so that we may teach others how to think with similar flexibility. During this pause, we hope to create a balanced system for all." Mara felt a wave of surprise. She had not expected this. She understood the aim, but the idea felt heavy. She looked around the room again. Every representative watched her with hopeful eyes. They were not angry. They simply wished to learn. She sat back in her seat and took a slow breath. "If this pause helps everyone grow," Mara said softly, "then I support it. But I want to help during this time. If the Council wishes to learn about human strategy, I am willing to share our methods in simple ways. Humans do not think in secret codes. We think in stories, patterns, and small steps. I believe we can teach that." Her calm response changed the mood in the hall. Many representatives relaxed visibly. The Fire Rose representative smiled and nodded gently. The Tovin representative tapped the table with small, cheerful hands. The Lumian representative glowed a little brighter. The council chair leaned back with a look of relief. "Your willingness honors a galactic council," the chair said. "We appreciate your offer. We will prepare a research team to visit Earth. They will observe human learning and creativity in peaceful environments. They will understand how humans solve simple challenges and how they create ideas from ordinary things. With your guidance, we hope to build a new shared learning program." Mara felt encouraged. She knew her people would welcome the research team. Humans enjoyed sharing knowledge. They enjoyed showing how imagination could turn simple thoughts into useful ideas. The meeting continued for some time as they discussed details. By the end, the decision was clear. Humans would step back from simulation for a short period. The Council would begin studying their thinking patterns. A new program would rise from this shared effort. When the meeting ended, Mara walked out of the Crystal Hall. She felt the warm light of the Star City above her. She did not know that this decision would soon change the entire galaxy. The research team arrived on Earth 2 days later. Their ship descended slowly above the planet's largest human city, Solara Prime. Unlike the clean, polished halls of the Galactic Council, the city felt warm and lively. Light glinted off the glass towers, but there were also parks filled with trees, rivers flowing gently, and people walking through busy streets. The aliens on the research team looked out of the windows with fascination. The team included representatives from multiple worlds. There was Zorin, a tall blue-skinned being with a long neck and glowing hands. He came from a planet known for strict rules and rigid thinking. Next to him was Fila, a small creature covered in soft golden feathers. Fila had large eyes that could see tiny details at a distance. There was also Gree, a sturdy being with 4 arms, each capable of writing or holding multiple objects at once. They were chosen because each represented a different perspective on problem-solving. Captain Marakel welcomed them personally. She smiled and extended a human greeting, shaking each of their hands, or their equivalent appendages, as appropriate. "Welcome to Earth," she said. "You will find that humans live differently than your worlds. We think differently too, but we hope you will enjoy observing our way of learning." The team was curious and slightly nervous. They had read the Council reports about human unpredictability and creative thinking. Now they would see it firsthand. Mara led them to a training center built for strategic exercises. It was a large open hall filled with tables, screens, and small interactive devices. We do not only train in technology, Mara explained. We use simple materials, sometimes games, and sometimes puzzles. Humans like to explore many possibilities at once. You may see things that seem random to you. That is normal. Zoran raised a glowing hand. Captain, we are prepared to study your techniques. Please note that we may not understand everything immediately. We are programmed to follow sequences and rules. Mara nodded. That is fine. Humans learn differently, and so do you. The goal is not to confuse you. The goal is to observe and learn. You will see that humans adapt to challenges in ways that feel unusual but are effective. The first observation involved a group of children. The children were gathered around a simple board game. It had small blocks, colored shapes, and a few cards with instructions. On most planets, strategic games followed strict rules. Every piece had a set function, and every move was predictable. On Earth, however, children often changed the rules as they played. The alien team watched as a small boy picked up a triangle block and placed it on a square space. Another girl rolled her dice and then decided to move a piece in a direction not indicated by the game. Instead of getting frustrated, the children laughed and clapped. They adjusted their goals. They treated the game as a puzzle that could have many solutions. Fila tilted her head. This is unusual, she said. They ignore the original instructions. Yet they seem to succeed. How do they do that? Gree tapped one of his 4 chests, a sign of concentration in his species. They appear to improvise, yet there's order in the chaos. There must be patterns we cannot see immediately. Mara smiled. Exactly. Humans often combine logic with imagination. We do not simply follow one path. We think of many paths at once, then pick the one that seems most promising. Sometimes we adjust in the middle of the plan if a better solution appears. Zoran's glow dimmed slightly as he processed the information. It is difficult for me to understand. Our species prefers to define each step before moving forward. Humans do not do that, yet they achieve results. Mara guided them to another observation. This time it was a group of students working on a project in a science academy. The project involved building a small vehicle that could travel across a rough terrain with limited materials. The students started by examining the materials. They experimented with different shapes, combinations, and structures. When one design failed, they did not stop or complain. They tried another combination, sometimes inspired by a story or an idea from someone else. One student suggested using the legs of one model to support the wheels of another. Others agreed and adjusted the design accordingly. Within hours, a working vehicle appeared. Fila's eyes widened. They do not fail in a negative sense. Every attempt leads to a new solution. Yes, Mara said. Failure is not the end. It is a step. Humans treat every mistake as a chance to find something new. We call it learning by exploration. Zoran's glow returned to a steady blue. I see. They combine creativity and analysis. They do not separate the two processes. This is not the approach of my planet. The aliens were invited to try their own strategies next. Each was given a simple simulation device. They had to solve a task using limited resources. At first, each of them followed strict sequences. They attempted to predict outcomes based on prior knowledge, but their attempts often failed in unexpected ways. Mara watched closely. You are thinking logically, which is good, but sometimes you need to allow imagination to guide your choices. Humans combine structure with flexibility. You can do the same. Try looking for possibilities that do not appear in your step-by-step calculations. Fila hesitated, then tried moving pieces in ways you would normally avoid. Zoran attempted combining sequences that had no prior precedent on his world. Gree experimented with structures that seemed random but formed surprisingly stable outcomes. Slowly, the alien team began to understand. They realized that human creativity was not chaotic. It had a pattern. It was a pattern of possibility, adaptation, and observation. By evening, the team gathered in a quiet garden. They sat beneath soft glowing trees, and small birds with transparent wings sang gentle songs. Mara spoke again. The key to human strategy is not in tools or resources. It is in perspective. We look at the problem, consider many possibilities, then act. We are not afraid to change the path midway. We are not afraid to listen to new ideas, even if they seem strange. That is why humans often appear unpredictable. Zoran's glow changed from blue to a warm violet. I'm beginning to see the advantage. Humans combine imagination, flexibility, and analysis. Other species, including mine, separate these processes. That is why humans succeed where others struggle. Phelan nodded. It is not only skill. It is also confidence in the unknown. Humans move forward even when the outcome is uncertain. Mara smiled. Exactly. That is part of our way. We see uncertainty as a challenge, not a threat. It allows us to explore and innovate. For the rest of the night, the aliens observed more humans in everyday activities. They saw families solving problems together. They saw engineers building machines by trial and adjustment. They saw artists creating visual patterns and then applying them to practical projects. Everywhere they looked, humans were combining imagination with structure. The research team realized that human strategy was not a magic formula. It was a habit of mind. It was how humans learned to live, explore, and solve problems. The more they observed, the more they understood why humans kept winning simulations at Galactic Council. When the team finally returned to the observation center for a discussion, they all agreed on one thing. Human creativity was a bridge between order and unpredictability. It could teach other species to approach problems differently. It could show them new ways of thinking without causing harm or chaos. Mara ended the day with a quiet reflection. She looked out at the city lights and said softly, "Humans do not want to be the best. We only want to learn and explore. We want to help others do the same. That is why we succeed." The aliens listened. They had not only learned about humans, they had begun to feel inspired. They saw that strategy was not only about winning. It was about discovering, adapting, and imagining. As night fell, the city of Solara Prime glowed peacefully beneath the stars. The research team prepared for the next day, eager to continue observing. They were beginning to understand the human way, and with that understanding, they realized the galaxy might be entering a new chapter. Captain Mara smiled. She knew this was just the beginning. Humans had much to share, and the universe had much to learn. Back in the Crystal Hall of the Galactic Council, the representatives gathered once again. The hall was brighter than ever under the soft glow of the artificial suns above. Holographic screens displayed reports from the research team that had visited Earth. Each screen showed videos, diagrams, and detailed notes about human thinking and behavior. The council members studied every detail with focused attention. The chair of the council, a tall and glowing Lathen named Erin, spoke first. "We have received the full report on human strategy. The observations are clear. Humans do not rely solely on tools, formulas, or preset rules. They think in multiple directions at once. They adapt to unexpected situations with speed and confidence. They combine creativity with logic in a way we have not seen before." The room fell silent. Many representatives exchanged looks of surprise and concern. A few species felt uneasy. They understood why humans always won in the simulations, but now they realized that understanding the reason would not be easy to copy. Fellows, a representative from a planet known for careful precision, raised a glowing hand. Fellows had a rigid way of speaking. "Chair Erin, if humans are so unpredictable, how can we continue the strategic programs without discouraging the other species? Many of them already feel inadequate. They may withdraw from future simulations if the situation does not change." Erin nodded. "That is exactly our concern. Humans have no intention of overpowering anyone. Their strategy comes from the way they think, not from superior resources. Yet the effect is clear. The other species struggle to keep up. The Council must act to maintain fairness while also respecting human abilities." Tovin, a small green being with soft round limbs, spoke next. "Che, perhaps the solution is not punishment, but guidance. We should ask humans to help us understand their methods. If the other species learn from them, the playing field will become more balanced." Mara Kell, who had joined the meeting via holographic link from Earth, listened quietly. She had read the initial reports and knew the Council was considering a pause in human participation. Now she could see the exact reasoning. It was not anger or fear. It was care for the other species' confidence. Erin turned to Mara. "Captain Kell, the Council appreciates your presence. We have decided to temporarily pause human participation in the strategic simulations. This is not a punishment. It is a step to allow the Council and all species time to study your way of thinking. We hope to learn from you, so we may teach others to approach problems more flexibly. Mara paused for a moment. She understood the purpose. She also understood the delicate feelings involved. Humans had never intended to overshadow other species. They only wanted to explore, learn, and adapt. She chose her words carefully. I understand, Mara said. Humans do not wish to dominate or impress. We enjoy collaboration, learning, and discovery. If stepping back for a while helps others gain confidence, I will support it. But I also want to help during this pause. I can guide lessons, demonstrate our problem-solving approach, and help species learn to think flexibly. The Council members brightened at her response. Fellows nodded slowly, showing approval. Tovin's green skin glimmered warmly, indicating calm acceptance. Even some of the Latin representatives smiled softly. Erin spoke again. Your offer is most generous, Captain. The Council will establish a program where your people can share knowledge in structured lessons. We will send instructors and observers to your planet. They will learn about human creativity, adaptability, and flexible thinking. In time, other species may develop similar skills. Then the simulations can resume with confidence and fairness. Mara smiled. I am glad to hear that. Humans believe that learning should be shared. We enjoy exploring ideas together. Teaching other species will be a new challenge, but one we are excited to face. Zorin, the tall blue alien from the research team, spoke next. Captain Kell, we will participate fully. We wish to understand human thinking in depth. Your methods are unlike anything on our planets. If we learn from them, our species can grow without feeling defeated. Yes, Mara said. We do not think in secrecy. Our thinking style is open to discussion. Humans often solve problems in groups, combining ideas. You will see that we value teamwork as much as individual thought. Observing and participating together will be important. The Council will spend the next few hours discussing logistics. Teams would travel to Earth to observe classrooms, workshops, and collaborative projects. They would not interfere with the daily lives of humans, but would participate in structured learning sessions. The sessions would teach creativity, problem-solving, and adaptive strategy. The Council would monitor progress to ensure other species develop confidence. Erin addressed all representatives. This plan has 3 goals. First, humans will step back from active strategic simulations temporarily. Second, all species will learn to adapt to flexible thinking. Third, the future simulations will be fair, challenging, and rewarding for everyone. If these goals succeed, humans may rejoin fully prepared, and the galaxy will have gained new methods of thinking. Mara reflected on the words. She understood that humans had always believed in growth through experience. They never sought to be unbeatable. They simply enjoyed exploring solutions. Now, the galaxy would have a chance to explore human thinking in return. The meeting continued with representatives sharing ideas for lesson structures. Fila, the golden-feathered alien, suggested observing human children at play. Creativity often starts in simple forms, she said. By studying young humans, we may understand the roots of flexible thinking. Gree, the four-armed alien, added, we should also observe human engineering and teamwork. Their approach combines improvisation and careful planning. It is a balance we rarely see in one species. Mara agreed. Both suggestions are excellent. Humans learn through play, experimentation, and collaboration. We also learn by adjusting plans when unexpected events occur. You will see that what seems unusual is actually a carefully balanced approach of imagination and observation. The Council began drafting the official plan. Humans would guide small groups of alien students through exercises that encouraged experimentation. These exercises included problem-solving games, creative design tasks, and simulations where the rules could change during the activity. The aliens would record observations and attempt to replicate flexible strategies on their own worlds. A representative from the Lumian species, beings made of light and mist, floated gently above the table. We will need patience, the Lumian said. Some species may struggle at first. They may want strict rules. We must allow them time to adjust. Erin nodded. Patience is part of the learning process. Humans are patient teachers. Other species must also learn patience. Understanding flexibility will require practice. As the discussion concluded, the Council agreed on a timeline. The temporary pause on human participation would last for 6 months. During that time, humans and alien observers would focus on shared learning. Afterward, simulations would resume with new strategies and renewed confidence among all participants. Mara smiled at the plan. She knew humans could handle this. They had a long history of solving problems and adapting to new environments. They had learned from each other for centuries, and now they would help the galaxy learn too. The council chair concluded the meeting. This decision represents a new chapter for the galaxy. We honor humans for their willingness to share knowledge. We honor all species for their willingness to learn. The future of strategic collaboration is brighter than ever. When the meeting ended, Mara returned to her quarters. She looked out at the galaxy through the transparent walls. Stars glittered like tiny lanterns across the dark canvas of space. She felt a quiet satisfaction. Humans had always explored new paths, not to conquer, but to understand. Now, the galaxy would begin to follow those paths with guidance. She thought about the children she had seen in the training centers, the students building vehicles, and the ordinary people solving small challenges. Each example reflected the core of human strategy, adaptability, creativity, and confidence in the unknown. If the aliens learned these lessons, the galaxy would become stronger, not just in war games, but in cooperation, problem-solving, and understanding. For the first time in many months, Mara allowed herself a moment of rest. She knew challenges lay ahead, but they would be shared challenges. Humans had won before not because they were better than anyone, but because they were open to possibilities. Now, the galaxy would share in that openness. As night fell over Oricel, the crystal hall glowed softly. Representatives returned to their quarters, carrying new hope. Humans, though temporarily paused from the simulations, would guide the galaxy toward a deeper understanding of strategy. And Mara Kell knew that this was only the beginning of a journey that could change the way every species thought, learned, and imagined. The Council's decision had created not conflict, but opportunity. And opportunity, Mara knew, was the first step toward a future where humans and aliens could explore the galaxy together, stronger and wiser than before. The next morning on Earth, Captain Mara Kell prepared for the arrival of the first group of alien learners. They came from several worlds, each with their own unique way of seeing life. Some floated above the ground like soft lights, others had many arms or legs, and some had eyes that could see colors beyond the human spectrum. Yet all of them shared one thing: curiosity. Mara led the aliens to a large training hall filled with tables, simple machines, building materials, and games. The walls were lined with transparent screens displaying instructions, examples, and inspirational messages. The air smelled faintly of flowers from the gardens outside. Humans often trained here in small groups, learning to solve problems, play strategic games, and create innovative designs from ordinary materials. "Welcome," Mara said, smiling at the group. "Here we explore ideas, try new things, and learn from mistakes. Humans learn best when we share ideas and try many approaches. You will see that creativity and problem-solving go hand in hand." Fila, the golden-feathered alien, blinked her large eyes. "Captain, what exactly will we do first?" Mara pointed to a table where several simple wooden blocks were arranged in a random pile. "We will start with a small exercise. Your task is to build a bridge that can hold a small weight using only these blocks. You can experiment as much as you like. There is no single solution. You will discover different possibilities by trying." The aliens looked at one another. Some hesitated, unsure how to begin. On their worlds, rules were followed strictly, and improvisation was rare. But Mara encouraged them. "Do not worry about mistakes. Every attempt will teach you something. Observe each other, combine ideas, and adapt. That is how humans approach challenges." Zorin, the tall blue alien, stepped forward carefully. He stacked a few blocks, but paused. "Captain, it feels strange to not have fixed instructions." Mara nodded. "That is natural. Humans often start this way. But you will see that flexible thinking can produce better results than strict rules alone." Over the next hour, the aliens experimented. Some bridges collapsed. Others held the weight for only a moment. At first, Frustration appeared in their expressions. Then Mara guided them to reflect on what worked and what didn't. "Notice how small changes can make a big difference," she said. "Sometimes a single block placed differently can strengthen the whole structure. Look for patterns, but also imagine new possibilities." Slowly, the aliens began to understand. They combined their species' natural abilities with the principles Mara taught. Gree, with 4 arms, discovered a pattern of interlocking pieces that no single human had thought of. Feel a use of vision to observe tiny angles and suggested adjustments that made the bridges stronger. Zorin learned to allow trial and error instead of expecting perfect results immediately. By the end of the exercise, several bridges held the weight perfectly. The aliens cheered softly, proud of their accomplishments. Mara clapped her hands. "Excellent work. You have combined imagination with analysis. This is a human way of learning. Observe, imagine, adapt, and improve." Next, Mara introduced a group problem-solving game. It involved a simulated space mission where participants had to transport resources across an obstacle course without dropping them. The aliens had never experienced a game with changing rules and unpredictable elements. At first, they hesitated, trying to follow fixed paths. But Mara encouraged them to experiment. "Do not be afraid to try unexpected approaches," she said. "If one path fails, try another. If you discover a new solution, share it with your group. Humans work together because every idea can help the team succeed." The aliens soon found themselves improvising. Some created new tools using materials they had not considered. Others rearranged paths or created temporary bridges. The small failures became learning experiences. By the end of the session, the group had completed the mission efficiently and creatively. Fila blinked in amazement. "Captain, we have never done anything like this. On our world, failure is considered a serious problem. Here, failure leads to learning." "Yes," Mara said. "Humans see challenges as opportunities. We learn from what does not work and use that knowledge to improve. Flexibility is a key." After a short rest, Mara led the aliens to another activity, teamwork in design. Each group was given simple materials and asked to create a device that could carry small objects across a simulated uneven terrain. The goal was not to create perfection, but to explore multiple ideas and work together. Some aliens struggled initially, wanting to plan every step carefully. Mara reminded them, "Do not try to control everything. Allow ideas to grow. Adapt to the situation. Listen to your team. Creativity comes from combining perspectives." By observing one another and sharing ideas, the groups discovered new solutions. They learned to adjust in the middle of the process, combining logic with imagination. Small successes encouraged confidence. Slowly, each participant began to see that flexible thinking could produce better results than rigid planning alone. In the evening, Mara gathered the group in a quiet garden near the training hall. The soft glow of luminescent plants lit the area, and the air smelled faintly of flowers and fresh water. Small streams reflected the stars above. "You have all done very well today," Mara said. "Humans do not rely on rigid rules because we believe that new solutions can appear when you experiment. Creativity grows when you allow yourself to imagine possibilities. Every species can learn this, but it takes practice. You have taken the first step." Zorin's glow shifted to a soft purple. "Captain, I understand now. Our species usually focuses on certainty. Humans focus on possibilities. It is difficult at first, but it brings freedom." Fila nodded. "I see the advantage. We feel confident when we can adapt, not when we follow strict instructions. This is a new way of thinking for us." Mara smiled. "Exactly. Flexible thinking is a gift. It allows you to respond to unexpected events and discover solutions that are not obvious at first. It is not magic. It is observation, imagination, and willingness to adjust." Over the next several days, the aliens participated in more activities. They observed children playing, students building projects, and adults collaborating on complex problems. They watched how humans combine creativity and logic in everyday life. One notable observation was a human team creating a small automated vehicle. They started with simple plans, then adapted the design several times as unexpected problems appeared. The aliens saw how every failure led to new ideas. Nothing was wasted, and every attempt contributed to the final success. The aliens were invited to try their own experiments using similar principles. They were amazed to see that allowing flexibility led to new strategies they had never imagined. Gree created a machine that combined multiple approaches in one design. Fila suggested a method of observation that improved balance and stability. Zoran experimented with random adjustments and discovered patterns that produced surprising efficiency. By the end of the week, the alien participants had gained new confidence. They realized that human strategies were not based on chance or superiority, but on perspective, flexibility, imagination, and willingness to learn were the foundations. The final exercise of the week involved all groups working together to solve a large simulation. It required cooperation, adaptation, and innovation. The aliens had to adjust constantly, sharing ideas and combining strengths. At first, confusion arose, but Mara encouraged them to continue. "Observe, adapt, and work together," she said. "Do not fear mistakes. Every idea has value. Humans learn best when we try, fail, and improve. You will find the same applies to your species." By the end of the simulation, the teams had successfully completed the challenge. Every alien participant felt a sense of achievement. They had learned new ways to think, work, and create solutions. Fila's eyes shone brightly. "Captain, I feel like we have learned more in a week than we ever expected. Humans do not just teach rules. You teach thinking." "Yes," Mara said. "We share perspective. Every species has its strengths, and together we can discover new possibilities. Learning is not about winning. It is about understanding, exploring, and improving." That night, as the aliens returned to their quarters, they reflected on their experiences. They understood that strategy was not only about rules, strength, or technology. It was about imagination, cooperation, and adaptability. Humans had shown them a way to approach problems that could transform their own worlds. Mara stood in the garden, looking at the stars above. She felt a quiet satisfaction. Humans had never sought to dominate, but to explore, learn, and share. Now, the galaxy would begin to understand the human way. It was not a sudden change, but a steady journey toward shared knowledge, understanding, and creative growth. The temporary pause in simulations had become an opportunity. Humans and aliens were learning together. The galaxy, Mara realized, was about to enter a new era of collaboration, innovation, and shared imagination. Months passed since the Council's decision to temporarily pause human participation in the strategic simulations. During that time, humans and aliens had shared knowledge, experimented, and learned from one another. Captain Marakel oversaw every stage, guiding aliens through exercises, games, and collaborative projects. Slowly, the galaxy began to understand the human way, flexible thinking, creativity, and cooperation. Now, the day had come to resume the strategic simulations. The council hall in Oricel was filled with representatives from hundreds of worlds, each eager to test their new skills. Some aliens still felt nervous. They remembered the past, when human teams always won quickly. Others felt confident, ready to apply what they had learned. Mara stood at the center, calm and composed. She had prepared her team for the day, but her focus was on cooperation, not victory. The council chair, Erin, spoke to the assembly. "Today marks a new chapter. Humans have shared their methods of creative problem-solving. All species have practiced flexible thinking and adaptation. The strategic simulations will resume, but today is not about winning. It is about growth, learning, and shared understanding. Let the exercises begin." The first simulation appeared on the large holographic screens. It was a galaxy-wide strategy exercise involving the safe transport of energy crystals across multiple planets. Teams had to work together, solve unexpected problems, and adapt to changing conditions. Mara watched as each alien team positioned themselves, ready to use their new skills. Humans began their part calmly. They coordinated quietly, suggesting ideas, listening to one another, and adjusting plans as challenges arose. But unlike past competitions, Mara instructed her team not to race ahead. Their goal was to demonstrate cooperation and shared problem-solving. The alien teams hesitated at first, unsure how to respond. But as the humans moved at a steady pace, explaining their reasoning and encouraging others, confidence grew. The Fire Rose representatives shared their observations, applying flexible thinking to adjust their strategies. The Tovin group used trial and adaptation instead of rigid plans. Even the Lumian participants, made of soft light, experimented with patterns and improvisation. As the simulation progressed, unexpected obstacles appeared. Asteroid fields blocked travel paths, energy surges changed the stability of crystal carriers, and communication channels shifted unexpectedly. These challenges would have caused confusion in the past. But now, the alien teams applied what they had learned from humans. They adapted quickly, shared ideas, and collaborated effectively. Mara guided her team to support others, offering suggestions rather than dominating decisions. "Notice how small adjustments can help your neighbors," she said. "Every idea has value. Listen, adapt, and work together." Slowly, the simulation unfolded as a grand exercise of shared creativity. No single team dominated. Solutions emerged from teamwork and flexible thinking. Aliens and humans discovered new paths to success, sometimes creating unexpected approaches that even Mara had not imagined. Fila, the golden-feathered alien, exclaimed softly, "Captain, I never thought I would enjoy this. On our world, strategy always meant following rules. Now, it feels alive. We are discovering together." Zoran added, "Humans taught us to see possibility where we once saw limits. We are learning to trust our imagination and to adjust without fear." By the end of the simulation, the energy crystals reached their destination safely. Teams celebrated together, not because one had won over the others, but because every participant had contributed. The council chair, Erin, observed with pride. "This is remarkable," Erin said. "The galaxy has entered a new era. Humans have not only shared knowledge, but they have inspired collaboration, creativity, and confidence across worlds. Today, all species have learned from one another." Mara smiled quietly. She thought back to the first council meeting when humans had been temporarily paused. Back then, no one could have predicted this outcome. Humans had only wanted to explore, learn, and share. Now, that spirit had become the guiding principle for an entire galaxy. The Council announced that human participation would resume permanently in strategic programs. But the focus had shifted. Simulations would no longer be about winning alone. They would be about teamwork, adaptability, and the discovery of new solutions. Humans had inspired a system where every species could contribute meaningfully. After the official announcements, Mara and her team were invited to a celebration in the Crystal Hall. Aliens from all over the galaxy gathered to honor the new achievements. Music played in harmonious tones, lights danced across the walls, and holographic displays showed highlights of the shared simulations. Every participant was recognized for their creativity, courage, and cooperation. During the celebration, Mara reflected on the journey. Humans had never intended to dominate or impress others. They had only sought to explore possibilities and help others do the same. That simple principle had changed the galaxy. Species that once feared the unpredictability of humans now valued it. They had learned to adapt, create, and collaborate. A young Lumian floated toward Mara and said softly, "Captain, humans taught us more than strategy. You taught us how to think differently, how to trust ideas, and how to work together. This is more valuable than any victory." Mara smiled and nodded. "That is what humans hope to share. Thinking differently is not a threat. It is an opportunity. Every species has strengths. When we combine them, we can achieve far more than any one of us alone." Zoran approached as well. "I never imagined that flexible thinking could be so powerful. Humans do not impose their way. They guide gently and allow us to discover solutions ourselves. That is a true lesson in leadership and strategy." Mara's team felt proud. They had not won by force or speed. They had succeeded by helping others discover their own strengths. In doing so, humans had created a galaxy-wide shift in thought. As night fell over Oricel, the stars outside the Crystal Hall reflected in the eyes of all participants. The celebration continued, but Mara took a quiet moment to observe the scene. She knew this was just the beginning. The lessons of flexibility, cooperation, and imagination would continue to spread. The galaxy would not only participate in strategic exercises more effectively, but also work together in ways never imagined before. The Council had acted wisely. The temporary pause on human participation had become a period of preparation, learning, and growth. Humans had guided the galaxy toward a deeper understanding of strategy, one that valued collaboration and creativity over dominance. In the days that followed, reports arrived from other worlds. Species had begun implementing human-inspired methods in their daily life. Schools taught flexible problem-solving. Engineers experimented with adaptive designs. Leaders learned to listen, adapt, and combine ideas. The galaxy was slowly transforming into a place where imagination and logic worked together. Mara reflected on the children she had observed at first. Those children, playing games without strict rules, had been the starting point. They had shown how exploration, trial, and adaptation could lead to learning. Now, that principle had reached millions across hundreds of worlds. The council chair, Erin, sent a private message to Mara. Your people have taught the galaxy a lesson that cannot be measured by scores or victories. You have shared understanding, creativity, and cooperation. We honor your contributions. Mara replied simply, humans never sought honor. We sought to explore, learn, and share. If others benefit from that, it is enough. The galaxy had entered a new era. No longer would strategy mean only winning. It now meant understanding, adapting, creating, and working together. Humans had inspired this change, not through force, but through their natural way of thinking. Their methods, once confusing to others, had become a guide for shared progress. As Mara looked out at the stars one last time before returning to Earth, she felt a deep sense of satisfaction. Humans had always embraced possibility, cooperation, and imagination. Now, the galaxy embraced it as well. The story of humans winning through creativity and adaptability had become more than a tale of strategy. It was a story of collaboration, teaching, and the power of flexible thinking. The galaxy had learned that sometimes the best victories are not measured in speed or strength, but in shared understanding and growth. Mara smiled and thought, this is only the beginning. There are endless possibilities ahead. Together, humans and aliens can explore the universe, learn from one another, and create a brighter future. And so, the new era began. The galaxy had not only embraced human strategy, but had learned the human way to imagine, adapt, and collaborate for a better tomorrow.